Looking at the hierarchy through characters. In the 1930s, again, there isn't a real wealthy population in rural Alabama. There's a slight distinction between what we would consider middle class and poor. The middle class characters are middle class societies represented by the following characters: the Finch family, the Radleys, Miss Maudie, Miss Stephanie, those people who live closest to town. Okay, more access to resources. When we get to the poor, the farmers, our first introduction to that particular family would be the Cunninghams. If you remember, it's Walter Cunningham, little Walter, who gets Scout in trouble in the second chapter, where the teacher tries to give Walter money for lunch, and the Cunninghams have never taken anything they can't pay back. Walter cannot accept that money because he cannot pay her back. That is very different from where we learn the difference between what is white trash. White trash is shown in, and they're both the first examples we see of poor farmers and of white trash are both children. We see little Walter Cunningham and we see Burris Yule. Burris has a bad attitude. He's not very grateful. He's not very gracious. He's been in the first grade. Keep in mind, there is no kindergarten at that time. That didn't come until the 1970s. So first grade was the first opportunity to attend school. He goes because it's required, and then he becomes a truancy issue. Walter, on the other hand, goes to school until he possibly can, and then when spring comes, where we're finishing up school, Walter's needed at home to tend to the fields. Walter's hardworking. They are honest, hardworking. The Yules kind of feel like they need to be taken care of and society owes them something. White trash was established because that back in the day was where the trash dump was. And so they made do in those particular areas out of what they could find at the trash heap, which will also be explored in the book. We have the blacks, and we have two different characters that we're going to see more of. Tom Robinson. He is the person who's the defendant, which Atticus is going to start talking about that trial more and more and more. And the trial is Atticus is going to represent a black man in rural Alabama. Okay, and we're going to talk a little bit more about what he's going to represent him for. And then, of course, we have Calpurnia, who is the lady who takes care of the Finch children, has been there since Jem was born. We know that Scout and Jem's mother has passed away soon after Scout was born. And so Calpurnia is a family fixture, which is unusual. And we're going to talk about that in the chapter 1. And then we'll get to the character that brings in that biracial element in part 2.